And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 36 of Narrations and Lamentations with Mittierim and the boys. I am your host, Mittierim, and with me are both boys on time. Yay! Skip and Michael. Say hi, fellas.
Hi, fellas.
I don't know what to say. I got stage fright.
Okay. Well, first things first, we will show off week 2 of Michael and the Hat of Shame. What princess are you featuring this week, Michael?
Oh, it's still Snow White. It's all Snow White.
Still
let's
Snow
go.
White?
Let's go. I don't even know half of these.
Their names are
I
on
know,
it, dude.
I know 3 of them. Oh, they do have names on them. Let's go. Let's go with Rapunzel.
All right, so it is Rapunzel evening today. So this is week 2 of 3 of Michael and the Hat of Shame. So tonight is going to be a kind of a random grab bag assortment show. We're going to talk about a couple of things that I don't think really warrant enough discussion to be full episode lengths, and just kind of talk about whatever. It's our show, we get to do that, so there. So let's go ahead and open up with what you guys have been doing in the hobby. Anything? I hear a lot of empty over there.
Can it be what we haven't been doing that we should be doing?
If you want to go there, be my guest.
Well, I should be working on the rest of my Minotaurs, but they're just sitting there on the table, and well, they're not getting any more paint on them, and I've been lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So lazy.
I have not done anything Warhammer related. I'm kind of, at least as far as the painting and stuff goes, I'm kind of on some burnout. I guess more correctly, I'm focusing on other hobbies. So my accomplishment list for the week is I beat Final Fantasy VIII last night, and I'm actually halfway done with my first RPG Talks video that I promised a couple of weeks ago. I'm hoping to have that finished tonight, probably get it posted up Friday, Saturday, something like that. So it's a little something different to listen to, and probably hate me for, but we'll get there. So what about you, Skip? Anything in this hobby or any others you've worked on this week?
No.
Awesome. We are accomplishmentary.
In my defense,
We are.
I've only had
Let's hear it.
I've only had one day off in like 8 days, and that one day off, I was at a churchyard sale for the whole day. So,
All right. So should we let that slide, Michael?
That's a better excuse than what I had.
Right. Okay. We'll let you get away with that one.
thank you.
So, first topic for tonight is going to be the topic for the week, kicked off by Vince Venturella in a semi-vain attempt to herd cats. Vince has decided to start introducing a weekly topic to be covered by all of the Warhammer YouTubers, and because I'm lazy and didn't have time to do a separate video, we're going to deal with our thoughts on the topic of the week here. And that topic is comp. And I guess really the other reason why we didn't really I didn't cover it in a separate video is we don't really do tournaments enough to give a shit about comp. So what I actually wanted to talk a little bit about is comp in terms of self-censoring, I guess, in our narratives. And how big a part you guys think that plays. I guess we can talk about, would you guys enjoy if we just basically removed all the limits we put on ourselves and just went balls to the walls, or do you think the limitations are adding something to our experience?
Well, first of all, I think we need to begin with people who may not be familiar with what actually comp is, especially those who do video episodes of why they suck at Warhammer, because I've never really understood the definition of comp. Is it restricting stuff, or is it adding stuff?
Well, I think it can be both. Ultimately, all right. Here, let's go with an operational definition of comp. Comp is changing the manner in which either the game is played or the armies are built to achieve a certain end. Most often the end being a balancing of the game.
Okay.
Is that a workable enough definition for you to go with?
Yes.
Okay. Now answer the question.
You know, part of me just wants to adopt the NASCAR philosophy and say, go at it, boys. You know, don't restrict anything. Just if your army sucks, you're going to be a good general and figure it out. You know, just go with what you got. Who cares if they take the banner of the World Dragon and all these things? If you're a good general, you're going to figure out a way around it. You know, that's kind of the way I kind of want to look at it.
Okay, so with that being said, thank you for that point. In unrelated news, the the magic lore that I am taking for my undead has changed from vampires to death, and I'm going to purple sun everyone.
Okay.
You say okay now. Michael, back me up on this. If I did that, he would be spitting needles
Oh
at
no!
me.
If you're pulling death magic out, I'm switching back to high elves, and I'm rolling with the banner of the World Dragon. Fuck you guys.
See, and this is exactly why I think, at least in terms of a narrative fun game, why self-comping is necessary. I think if we all just went balls to the walls and brought the hardest list we could, we'd be at each other's throats in a matter of days.
Oh, I thought we were talking about if we were playing like competitive lists. I'm sorry. No, keep that crap keep that crap out of here. When it comes to our games, I was talking about like competitive play. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you know what? We can argue that point too. So let's say it this way, Skip. All right. You are fresh-faced, new to the world. Your first Warhammer army. You've been slaving at this poor army for weeks and weeks to get it painted and great, and you go to your first competitive tournament or your first tournament, just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so let's say in this hypothetical situation that you're not a very good player. You have what you have. You're wanting to just go and have a good time, and that's it. And then next thing you know, you're facing double Demon Prince lists. You're facing folding fortress bullshit. You're facing just all sorts of craziness, and you just get stomped like 20-0'd by turn 2, 3 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
What is your takeaway from that tournament as a new player, and in terms of what you think about the hobby and where you would go from there?
I guess I would have to go out and buy myself a better army.
Well, would you, or would you just go, you know what, fuck this noise, and give up?
Well, so considering I don't give two shits about competitive play anyway, you know, it's hard for me to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm going to take the pro side and just say, you know, why comp everything? You know, just if this is what Warhammer is designed for. This is how the guys sat down in their drunken stupors and created the game. You know, after drinking at the brewery for like 10 hours a day. And this is the way they designed it, so play it like it is.
What do you think, Michael? Before I go back at him, let's get your opinion in on this.
In tournament play, you know what? It depends on the tournament. Like brawlers, yeah, there's no need for comp. You're just looking to kill each other. It doesn't matter how bad you are at the game. You're just trying to march across the board.
Okay. Well, hold up though. But brawlers was comped. I mean, there was a list of 15 or 16 special characters that weren't allowed. The Folding Fortress wasn't allowed. They limit the number of people you could have in a building. Um, they limited the number of extra magic dice you can generate. I mean, that's comp.
Yeah.
That is flat comp. And even in Brawlers,
Yeah.
which is renowned for being an anything goes tournament, there's a hell of a lot of comp in that.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't pay that much attention to it, being that I played dwarves and magic means nothing to me. I very
And all
rarely
your
get
special
into it.
characters suck.
Yeah, no, I just said, yeah. I mean, I'm for comp. It helps even the game out when people just go, well, I'm going to take the most bullshit I can in my army.
Mm.
I mean,
But
it doesn't completely stop it, but it helps.
here's my thing from a competitive point of view. This game was not designed for tournament play. It wasn't. And anybody can present arguments to the contrary, but you're wrong. This game, by the admission of the people who made it, is for sitting around like we play it, sitting around at the kitchen table and doing whatever. So I think if you're going to play it sort of outside of the box that it was built in, you need some sort of limiting or leveling factor to be able to put it together and make it work like you want to in a tournament. Now, that being said, I agree with you guys in that I don't really give a rat's ass about the competitive side of things. So let's go with that into what I was originally asking about, is sort of looking at our self-limiting as a form of comp that we are doing in our little 3-person meta.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about that? Do you think that us comping ourselves is a good thing or a bad thing in terms of our general play and the narrative we're trying to build and what have you?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has to be, because there's a lot of broken crap out there, and not just the elves, but I think every army has some broken crap when it comes down to it. Even the frickin' Tomb Kings have broken crap with the Kalana list. You're gonna to have the fun that we want to have and not worry about trophies or any of that crap. That you are gonna have to put some restrictions on it, or it is gonna be a wipeout if I want to play the poor Tomb Kings or Beastmen or anything like that, or Bretonia. There has to be some limitations to make it fun with what we're doing. And again, because I don't give a rat's ass about competitive play, maybe I'm not the person that needs to be, speaking on it. But when it comes to that, but I think for what we do, I think there has to be some limitations on it to make it fun for all three of us.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask this: do you think it's better for us to kind of do what we're doing, whereas we're just kind of trusting each other to comp ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think it's something we should think of doing sort of a comp pack for our narrative and our games?
I think it's more a trust thing. I mean, I think if we were out in a tournament, yeah, they'd need a pack. But between friends, there's not really a need for us to go, hey, we're gonna have to put a pack out there. I mean, we can just go, yeah, don't bring that, and we'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
Excuse me.
I don't really have anything else to talk about comp-wise. I think competitively, I'm in favor of it. Narratively, I'm in favor of it in terms of self-regulating, I guess would be the better term. Any other final thoughts before we kind of push on? As I didn't think this was something we were going to get too deep into.
Well, just think of what a tournament would be like if everybody brought balls to the walls lists. I mean, just straight out crap. so much cheese that even mice are going, hey, that's too much cheese. You think, I would love to sit back and watch that tournament, to be honest with you. Probably not playing it, but I would love to sit back and watch it.
I wouldn't, because you would see the same 3 elf lists 100 times over.
Probably.
I mean, that's the other thing about comp is, I mean, this is a game of numbers, mathematics, and statistics. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to look at it like a lot of these tournament players do, there are correct answers and there are incorrect answers. I mean, realistically, accounting for variability of rules, there is one build that is mathematically better than every other build. That's just the way these kind of games work. So I think another aim for comp and why you want to put it in there is to prevent a 100-man tournament being 100 copies of the same freaking list.
Yeah.
I mean, you put limitations and it makes people have to kind of think of where to go with it. Now, admittedly, that just means that now, instead of list A being the end-all and be-all best list available, then it becomes list C or D or whatever. But I think that's a worthwhile aim too.
Wouldn't it be neat? This will be a funny thing I say. Wouldn't it be neat if you have a tournament where everybody brings a different army, not the same list? It just takes the crap, the cheesiest list out of that army that they're bringing, and that's what you play. So you don't have a double up of high elves or dark elves or something like that. Somebody's going to be with the beastmen. Somebody's going to have Skaven. Somebody's going to have wood elves. That's something I would love to see.
It would be interesting, but I would hate to be the man to draw the short straw on that one and have to play Beastmen.
Hey.
I was going to bring
Beastmen list and nothing but Ungor Raiders? Oh, you guys would be doomed.
Now what you do is if it's no holds bar, you do 2,400 points, you do 2 Razorgores, and then you do 1 spellcaster and a single unit of Ungor Raiders of however many points it is, and put it in the Folding Fortress. It's just
that's 110. We'll say 2,000 points of Ungors. Fuck me.
Yeah, and you put it in the Folding Fortress, and no one ever gets points off you.
That is 200. At 1,200 points is 200 Ungors.
It's a lot. Yeah, 200 Ungors and a character in a building.
318. I'm getting like 350 Ungors.
Yeah, all in one building, and that's it.
Yeah. I would never get beaten.
Yeah. No, it's weird. All right, so hope you enjoyed that, Vince. That's our general thoughts. Oh, wait a minute. There was... okay, we kind of answered... Nicholas Belair asked us a couple questions about the comp. We kind of answered his first question as our general discussion point. Actually, I think we answered both of them because we talked about how we would compare our narrative comp to general competitive comp or house rule comp. I don't think you could say that our lists are better or worse than, say, Swedish or whatever, because it's all self-regulating. So, what?
Nothing. I was just...
Okay. So, number 2, topic 2. And hopefully, by God, this will happen this week. Ending a campaign. There are a lot of ways to do it. Some are pretty well known. I mean, easily decided. You decide sort of, hey, we're going to run X number of games in this campaign at the very beginning, and you go through it. Some are determined by whoever gets eliminated first, whatever. But with something like the campaign that we're finishing up now, what clued you guys into it being ready to end, to wrap it up? Where was the magic button that revealed the off-ramp?
Well, when Melisandre succumbed to the Beastmen.
That was, yeah.
I think
That was a little bit of bullshit.
Hey, it was a little fun game. I hold no grudge to that. It was a fun game.
Mhm.
It was crazy as shit, but it was a fun game.
It was. It was one of those victories you just go, what just happened?
Mhm.
I don't know what just happened here.
But either way, it was pretty awesome. So, so you really think that was the button that just went, all right, time to close her down?
That's what stands out to me.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say that the sort of the wrap up that we're doing in the campaign right now, do you feel like it is organic to you, or do you feel like it's just, hey, we got tired of it, let's put a cap on it and move on?
I don't know. I guess I'm 50 one way, 50 the other. I am kind of tired of what we're doing, but I don't want, because we've put so much into it, I don't want to just go, we're done. You know?
Mm-hmm. Anything from you, Michael?
I'm kind of with Skip on the 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't feel like we forced it to end by any means because, anything can happen in Warhammer, and, there were a couple armies that we thought were going to be around and ended up not being around. A couple battles that we didn't think would go how they went. I think it's hit a natural point, but I'm with Skip in the fact that it's time to start a new campaign.
Okay. I can definitely agree. I would say though that I think the closeout, if we could ever get to it, feels organic to me. It feels like we're finishing to tell a story, and I think I think I'll be happy with the end of this campaign for that reason. We're at the point where you can feel like it has a natural ending point. So here's my question then. With that being the case, do you guys think that we, for the new campaign coming up, that we should set up some sort of predetermined endpoint, or should we trust just to kind of that the story will manifest itself in a way that will provide significant closure?
Um, well, why fix it if it's not broken? We didn't have a predetermined endpoint for this campaign, and it's
Mm-hmm.
gone great. So I would say if the next campaign shows that, hey, it needs to be fixed, we fix it. If not, we keep going with it.
Okay.
Plus, the point is, we're starting. I don't want to use the word escalation, but I mean, we're starting at smaller points and kind of working our way up. And I think it's going to add more flavor to that because there's going to be some other things we're going to go after this time instead of just smacking each other around the board.
Mm-hmm.
There are other little plot twists in the games that's going to continue to make it interesting. And I just I want to see if it's not broke, don't fix it. I want to see how it spins off and see which directions it goes.
Mm-hmm. And just for the record, Skip, I love your. I don't want to use the word escalation, and then proceeds to define escalation.
Yeah, I did.
I can see that. I guess the thing that makes me think of the potential for it is how much more rules focused we're getting with the setup of this campaign. And it was just like the one thing we haven't really even discussed laying rules down for is the end. So I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about that. But I think in general, it's probably better to try and if you're going to do a narrative campaign, try and let the story evolve and end itself naturally rather than any sort of arbitrary rule set.
Now, have we talked about what the basis of this new campaign is? I can't remember.
I think we did discuss overall. I don't know that we've discussed any of our individual armies' goals thus far. Just for those who don't want to go back and find the Narrations and Lamentations where we did, ultimate idea is that we're picking up this new campaign after the end times where Estalia and Telea have been destroyed. The rest of the world has not. And so we are... Say what?
And the Border Princes.
Right, and the Border Princes. And so the idea is that we are picking up with the other races attempting to claim that land and the other various powers and things that have been left behind after the Skaven failed to carry their onslaught any further and return to the Undercity. So, I don't know where you were going with that, but now they're brought up to speed, Skip.
Oh, well, the point I was going to make is because we're not concentrating on one specific area, we could have one battle in Asteria and a totally different thing is going on in the Border Princes. So even though we may wrap up what's in Asteria, we have two other countries that things are still going on. That's the point I was trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Which makes a campaign ground a lot larger than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Very possibly. And I certainly think with the lower point value to start off with, because it gives us the opportunity to put in more games, potentially, the narration can move a little faster, perhaps. But maybe that's just me. I don't...
Well, we've been cranking out, 3 games on average at 1,000 points?
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's pretty much the ending of a campaign. Next topic... Death in the campaigns, and I know we've touched on this a little bit, but I've come up with some rules that we kind of wanted to share with the group for how we're going to run deaths in the next campaign, and just kind of see, maybe the boys can talk about some of the pluses and minuses of this rule setup, and maybe we'll get some feedback in the comments. So it says people are viewing. We've gotten no comments so far, so they may have just turned it on to make me feel good and walked out of the room. So here's what we're going to do. We decided to keep the death rules very simple. In the event that a character is killed in combat, and it has to be in combat, no getting run down, no magicking to death, no shooting to death, no being sucked down the hole, none of that, because we think there's too many variables. Your character runs the risk of dying. At the end of that game, you roll a d6. On a 1 on the d6, your character is dead. Period. Now, that being said, each army has what we're calling plot chips, where a plot chip can be sacrificed to save that character from death. In that event, the person who is cashing in the plot chip has to write a narrative bit about how that character has been saved, and it gets funneled in. The armies can choose to earn additional plot chips via quests, just as if they were powers for the army. Now, here is the fun part. You do not have to spend your plot chips on your own characters. Any army can spend a plot chip. If you were involved in the battle, you can spend your plot chip to save any character, and therefore influence their narrative and keep them going. So it makes the plot chips kind of dual purpose, and I think it can have some good impact. So what do you guys think of those rules?
I like them.
Thank you. I don't know why I have you guys on here. I should just talk.
Yeah. We're just here for a peanut gallery.
I'll get little Michael puppets. I like that.
You just get a dwarf.
I don't like that. Would you like to expound upon that, Michael?
My biggest thing that I really like about it is the fact that our plot chips can be used for another army that we're facing. Because it makes a certain amount of sense that, hey, the dwarves are fighting Bretonia, and I kill one of his general in combat, and my dwarf lord's like, I don't really want to kill you, and just kind of like lets them go. And then you've got Bretonia that goes, well, maybe the dwarves aren't so bad.
Or takes him captive, and then you've got issues to deal with there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for narrative power there. And it's a lot of danger, because it's like, all right, do I use my plot chip to give me power over your narrative, or do I save it to make sure my favorite character doesn't die?
Right.
So, what about you, Skip? What do you think?
I think it's a good idea. I like the way that you're portraying that, as we can influence each other's narratives. It's scary, though. It is scary, because it's just going to add something else that we may have to go after. That I'm not saying no. I think it's a good idea. It's a little scary to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can see that, but on the other hand, I think that risk is the whole point of putting death in the campaign anyway. I think if we didn't want a little bit of that risk, then we wouldn't put it in there. And to be honest, I mean, a 1 in 6 chance, it's not like your characters are going to be dropping like flies. So I think there's a little taste of danger, but not enough to really jack things up.
Yeah, it's just like rolling a dangerous terrain check, and what are the odds you're going to be rolling ones? Oh, wait a minute.
Now you watch in this campaign, you're going to be rolling like 6s on all your characters living. Like, he's not dying.
All right, so, I'm sorry. That just reminded me of the conversation we had on the group earlier yesterday, I think. Skip, would you please tell the story of how your dear wife is helping you choose your armies for the campaign?
Yeah, we were discussing it, and I still haven't decided on my second army yet. And she said, well, why don't you play those guys with the halibut ears right there? And she was pointing at my dark elf spearmen, which weren't carrying halberds at all.
And just in case he said that too fast, let me clarify what she said. She said halibut, as in the fish, ears, as in the things you hear with.
Yes. Muggles.
Yeah.
Nothing but muggles.
The black halibut ears.
The black halibut ears. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But, so apparently Vince is certainly in the room and says good evening to everyone.
Hi, Vince.
Hi, Vince. Wait, he also said something else. Yeah, he says he likes the rules. I guess the death rules is what he's talking about. I think you should also have the right to have a discussion with the person you save about what they quote-unquote owe you. Maybe they aid you in the narrative. Maybe if they decide not to accept your terms, you have a way to keep their character, or maybe even add them to your own army in some cases. It's not a terrible idea. I think right now just leaving it open as to sort of what we can get away leaves us the room to make those kind of discussions.
Yeah, because you don't want to kill a character and take him over and make him a vampire, because that'll never. Oh, wait a minute, that happened too.
Again, I'm getting guilt tripped for my excellence.
That's how it works.
I got a channel from my something from my old MMO days. L2P noob. No, for all of those out there like my wife who thinks I'm too mean to skip, I mean it with nothing but love.
No, it was cool. It was a great plot point, and I really liked it. I just,
Hmm. Hopefully my vampires will do better than they did after they took her over in this new campaign.
my master plan.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess we should talk a little bit about the fact that we are, after some discussion, we are tapping into some of the Legion of the Undead rules. Given the kind of weird tactical situation that it puts, like tactical versus not wanting to be a dick situation it puts people in. At the start, any of the undead armies, right now it's only mine, but if Skip chooses Tomb Kings, he would have this rule as well. Get to use the rule from the End Times Legion of the Undead that says that if your general, or in the Tomb King's case, the Hierophant is killed, you do not have the rest of the army to crumble. And in terms of the vampire counts, we didn't really talk about this in the Tomb Kings, but in terms of the vampire counts, that rule is only going to be in effect until I unlock the ability to have a second wizard. Because what we came up with at the last time Michael and I were playing a practice game, it was like he didn't want to attack my vampire because he wanted to give it a chance to do something. But the very second he attacked the vampire, because there's no protections with the point value restrictions we're putting on, it died and the army crumbled. So,
And then you killed. She's like, "Wow,
right.
That wasn't fun."
So I don't know. I think that's the best idea we've come up with so far. Just to make it work, I'm not sure. Okay, Black Tower Terrain says, have we considered a die roll for the option to save an opposing character? Let fate decide if he's supposed to die. I don't think we've really talked about that. I think the idea is sort of letting him die is more the dice roll, and the whole idea of the plot coins, or the plot chips, whatever we're going to call them, is just a way to change that and make it a way for the players to influence the narrative. As a side note, now that he's reminded me by commenting, we will do our weekly plug to Black Tower Terrain. This past week I got in the pieces that he made for us. He donated several terrain pieces to the channel, as well as the Sorceress Portal that we purchased from him. It is all absolutely top-notch work. We were super excited. And once we get to the first game of the new campaign, it is actually going to completely revolve around terrain that he has made for us for this setup. It's going to be pretty major parts of the game, so keep an eye on that. If you find yourself in need of any terrain, it's blacktowerterrain@gmail.com. Send him a email. He does great work at a great value. Yeah, I better stop or I'm going to sound too much like Lord Tremendous. But definitely good work. We're actually working on getting some other pieces done from him, a Sigmarite Shrine, an Altar of Gork, and I already think Skip is gearing up to talk about a Bretonnian Grail Chapel after we get those all done. So it's what did you say the other day? It's good to have a terrain guy on retainer or something like that.
We got a good terrain guy on retainer. It's nice.
Yeah, but definitely awesome work. Black Tower. I don't know if you want me to use your actual name, but so that's my vote. So Vince says honestly he would leave it in effect permanently. That and the TK March rule. I think they make the armies more fun to play, and it's not like losing your vampire isn't already a huge blow to the army. It's just kicking you when you're down beyond that. What do you guys think about that?
It's good rules to an extent, but it's a weakness of the army.
Yeah.
And it's like dwarves. We're not fast. We're
Yeah.
not going to get across the board quickly.
Right. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I would even be talking about instituting the rule if it weren't already for the fact that we're limiting ourselves to how we can defend in the 15-point magic item limit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I could give my vampire a 4-up ward save out the gate, I would probably care less. Because there's a chance that she would survive in combat for crap. But without being that, there's no good way to protect her, really. So I think that's why it's kind of necessary.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. I was just waiting for that skip.
Oh. Well, I could throw in my weekly plug for Seed of Rebirth. There you go.
Oh, God. You and your freaking Seed of Rebirth. I mean, 6-up ward save is nice and all, it just doesn't cut it. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess, but... Oh, Jesus. So, any other topics from you guys that you want to go over tonight?
Boy, we're just full of it, aren't we?
Yeah, I thought so. Well, we've got some questions from Vince on just a variety of different topics. So I wanted to get all of anything we wanted to talk about out of the way before we go into his questions.
Okay.
So, all right, well, we'll go into first question then. Question 1. The fan-made books are generally considered perfect for garage/friendly hammer, but inappropriate for tournaments. Is that fair? Would you allow one of those armies at your table or in your campaign?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fair, or yes, you would allow it?
If somebody put together a all halfling army and knocked on the door while we were playing and said, "Hey guys, can I come in and play this halfling army?" Are we going to refuse them?
Nope.
I would.
Really?
I would say, "Get your bitch ass off my porch," and then when he turned around, I would sap him in the back of the head and steal the army.
Yes, violence is the answer.
Is it fair for them not being used in tournaments? Yeah. It's not fun, but it's fair. And considering that seems to be what tournaments go for, yeah, I got no problems with that. But absolutely, I would allow any of those fan-made armies on the table. And in fact, that actually brings up the other thing I was wanting to talk about. It's been making the rounds. I don't know if everybody's seen it. Michael and I kind of looked through it this past week. But somebody made an End Times Grom book for the Orcs and Goblins, which includes a new and updated Noblar army with Noblar fucking characters in it, and it is awesome. I may print out those pages and just staple them in the back of my Ogre Kingdoms book, just to be able to use them because it is so sweet.
What are some of the? I know that halflings are one of the armies that's like, and isn't Chaos Dwarfs considered fan base now, or is that?
I don't know. Chaos Dwarves is such a weird, like. Technically, they're released by Games Workshop because Forge World is part of Games Workshop, and for the most part, Chaos Dwarves are accepted in tournaments. So I think they're kind of a different animal.
Okay.
But there's the Halflings, there's the Norse, there's the Kingdoms of End, the what is it?
Like
There's
a pirate one.
Yes, there's a pirate one.
Okay.
The Japanese-based one.
Yeah.
There's a hobgoblin.
Is there? Yeah, I think so. There's a bunch of them, and for the most part, everyone I've read is. It may not be the most balanced, but it's freaking cool.
I remember with Warhammer, what is balanced?
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I would be up for it because I mean there's just seeing different on the table would be awesome. Um,
Pirates would be cool.
yeah. I could see myself playing that Noblar army from the Grom book because it's so good. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying so good as in like it would win games because I'm fairly certain it wouldn't, but it's so good because there are freaking Noblar characters. I'll be honest, y'all. To share a little of my Noblar love for the end game for the campaign that hopefully we're doing tomorrow. My first list, because I had to use some Empire stuff and some Ogre stuff in a 2,000 point list, I was just going to do a BSB from the Empire and a Warrior Priest from the Empire and put them in a brick of 50 Noblars. That list didn't make it, but I was just like, that would be fucking cool.
Wow.
But no, this thing's got different, like it's got ice Noblars, which are like little micro Yetis, and it's freaking cool. They've got the Lucky Gits. I mean, there's just so many good rules. If you haven't found, it's End Times Grom. It's all over the place. Go check. In addition to the Noblar army, it's got a bunch of other green skin stuff, which frankly I went right past. But the Noblar army stuff is well worth it. And actually, I think it's Tom Ham was the one who sent it to me originally. So thanks, buddy. It was super cool to read that. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. So I think generally the argument is that we are super in favor of the fan base stuff. So Black Tower Terrain says, thanks for the shout out, and yeah, my name is cool to use. So okay, Jason, thank you. Looking forward to putting out more terrain for you guys. One more campaign question. Will it revolve around just the 2 armies each of you chose, or will there be any other army appearances? As of right now, it is the 2 armies that we've each chosen. Now, that being said, we are a fickle and untrustworthy lot, so I would not immediately knock out the idea of any other armies not appearing. The other thing that I have thought of is essentially using the other armies that we own that we're not playing with as like NPC armies. Making them like, oh look, Michael's dwarves and Skip's Bretonnians are getting ready for a fight, and then all of a sudden a tribe of ogres shows up and jumps them both. And now it's a 2-on-1 thing, or something crazy like that. So we may keep them in sort of NPC status, or we may use them for whatever. Figure if we do any of the games where we use the rules for mercenaries, we may be able to draw from mercenaries from outside armies. But we're keeping it pretty fast and loose at this point. Any other points you guys wanted to bring up on that one?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be like completely running my mouth and not letting you guys get in a word edgewise. So.
Your channel.
Okay. All right. So, question 2: what is one thing each of you would like to improve from a hobbying perspective in the next year? I'll let you guys go first. I've been talking too much.
The speed at which I paint.
Yeah. The ability and speed of which I paint. Hey, the ability to paint. There you go. That's what I want.
For me, I think it's more managing my motivation well. Particularly since I have not painted a single thing. Well, no, that's a lie. Since I finished the 1,000 points of Lizardmen, I have painted exactly 5 models. And it is 5 chameleon skinks, and that's it. And I literally, other than I've primed my next 16 Sorath warriors, and they've sat in the box, like the clear boxes I put them in for painting, and just sat there since I primed them, and I have not even looked at the box since that day. And I'm like, I wish I could just turn on the motivation and just sit down and crank them out and be done with it, and I just do not feel it at all. So I want to manage my motivation better. So we got learning to paint from Skip. We got managing motivation. What was yours, Michael?
Speed at which I paint.
Speed. Do you mean like per model or just cranking more units out, or what?
I'd say per model, because I mean, I sit there and I'll spend the same amount of time on a character that I do on an individual model. Just because, like, how Alicia does it, where she just, like, it looks like it's mindlessly just, and I've done 50 dudes in 2 weeks.
Of course. All right. Just for the record, because I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression. Alicia does not go, ooh, wave the magic wand and it's done. My wife literally works every night after the children are asleep. She usually locks herself in her studio by 9 o'clock and works till 3 in most cases. So, I mean, she's putting in 6 hours a night when the rest of us are sleeping. So she definitely does more than her share of hard work. And that's after taking care of the kids all day while I'm at work. So.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, she makes it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of effort in making it look that easy, though.
I wish I could do it that easily without all the effort.
Right. Douche. Alright, so question 3. Is the model count required for your average army in 8th, let's say at the 2,000 to 2,500 point value, just right, too high, or too low?
I'm going to adopt a Goldilocks feature in this. I think it's just right with the 2,500. Because all of us have experienced the 3,000 or even 4,000 point level trying to concentrate and getting that done, and it's mind-boggling, at least to me. You know, I think it's easier for me to feel more comfortable around the 2,500 point level.
Mm. Well, I think the question more is, Skip, is it okay that for a 2,000 point human army that you need 150 whatever it is, or should you be able to get by with a higher point value with 50 models?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
At least I think that's the question you're asking. If that's not the question you're asking, Vince, let me know. So what do you guys think? Michael, we'll give Skip some time to think now that he knows what the question is.
I mean, the issue, like, when we went to Brawlers, everything was 3,000 points, and you had a pretty even mix of massive armies and small armies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends big on army by army case. Like, Chaos Warriors, can they get by with a small army count? Yeah. Can the Skaven? No.
I think I'm going to say it's too high, but just a little bit. And it's more. It's not that it's too high for what you need to be able to play, but it's too high for what you need to have to be able to make different army lists. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I think because of the core, like, that's my big thing right now that's killing my motivation with the Lizard Men. Is that, yeah, I can paint other stuff, but to be able to move stuff around and to make bigger points, I've got to paint another, like, 20 skinks and another 16 Saurus, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. But if I don't do it, and I just paint the other big stuff, there's no way I can fit that big stuff in the army and still meet the minimum core tags. So it's just like, it's this freaking stone around my neck. Of course, that may have to do more with my general. Like, my mind is far more in our D&D game and than it is Warhammer right now. So it's I don't really have the mental wherewithal to do what needs to be done.
Right.
So, yeah, so Vince says that is exactly the question. For example, if he has to start an Empire list and use infantry, he needs 100 to 150 figs to start. In older editions, it was unusual that the army would have 75 figs in it, tops. So what's your answer to that question, Skip?
My gut feeling is less is more. I would like to see, kind of to go back to the old ways from what I understand, where you don't have to field a lot of things, where a 20-man unit, rocks, whereas you don't have to do as much as I love to see them on the board, 100 present brick, horde to be able to stay competitive in a game,
Yeah.
I would like to see less is more.
I concur. I would like to see 15 to 20 man bricks being the standard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I first started playing back in high school, it was like you didn't do more than 20 men. It was a waste of points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really wanted to be a super badass, you'd have a 30-man unit. Or you were playing like Orcs and Goblins, who had just a butt ton of goblins. But I agree with you. I think, however, I do think that there's a bottom ceiling that you need to avoid too. I mean, I don't think it's fun in like a completely unbound thing where you show up with 4 models and put them on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, here's my big giant monster dude, and here's 3 chariots, and that's my army. Like, I think you lose something of what Warhammer is when you get to that point.
I agree with that. But I think if you go with the less is more theory when it comes to like core units and things like that, you can get more in your army and not burn out on just painting swordsmen or halberdiers or things like that. You can paint a variety of stuff and it keeps you fresh, keeps you interested. That's kind of the way I look at it. Because I get bored just sitting here painting peasants all the time.
Uh-huh. I agree. I mean, I've even been. I mean, part of the reason I think I'm not touching the lizardmen right now is that I'm like really anxious to just like batch paint them and be done, which would kind of defeat the whole purpose of me getting the lizardmen and taking my time with them. And so it's like I know right now, like if I were to just like after we signed off here go pick up my lizardmen, I would just batch paint all 16 of them in a couple of nights and just say, screw it, and they'd look like crap, and I'd be mad. So, but yeah, I think I can kind of see the less is more bit. And I think I agree with that for the most part. And I think that's it. And we only went for an hour tonight, guys.
Wow.
We need to be more exciting and talk about more things.
Well, hopefully.
Michael, come up with a topic of conversation now.
So, dwarves are amazing.
I agree. I think if you braise them with a little light barbecue sauce and rotate them slowly on the spit, you got good eating there.
And this is why I don't come up with topics. Because you try to eat.
Burn you and your pink hat. All right, Skip, come up with a topic of conversation.
Well, hopefully next week we'll have finished the campaign and we can discuss that.
That's the hope. Is next week is if we can, God willing, if we can finish the campaign tomorrow and wrap everything up. Next week will be sort of our capstone event to that campaign, and we'll discuss kind of what we learned about it, how we might do things differently, what our general impressions on the campaign were, stuff like that. So,
and if we have time, we'll take pictures of all of our dead heroes and put a Sarah McLachlan song behind it.
Dude, that would be a 2-hour video for your armies alone.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very much to my army. What? Ogrom, Gorin, and that's it. That's the only two characters I got out of the dwarves.
Well, you got your beastmen.
Oh yeah, Morgor.
Morgor died.
Yeah, but that's 3 characters.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any.
Melisandre.
Well, she's a demon. They never really die.
She's being frowned upon.
Yeah, she's been banished.
I want to go back to my channel when I can talk nice about myself. I want to go to the planet where I'm worshipped as a hero.
So, Vince says, I am completely correct. Dwarves are for food.
You guys can just go suck an egg.
Nice. All right, so new topic of conversation. Why is Skip so easy to pick on? Michael, go.
Because we love him? I don't know.
Why is this suddenly turned into the McLaughlin group?
Because we usually go for 30 more minutes, and I feel bad.
Wrong! The answer is 7.
Nice. I like that. Maybe we should do that. Like, I'll just ask you guys a bunch of questions and just be a total dick about it. Of course, they may not be able to tell the difference between that and our normal show.
Well, I know. It happens.
Right. All right, so I asked a question, and I don't even know if Vince got to this question on his show because I was busy doing something else instead of watching Warhammer Weekly because I never get to watch it live. But I kind of actually want to put it to you guys and see what you think. They were going to be talking about 9th edition and the thoughts. And I actually wanted Vince to take off his optimism hat and join the rest of us down in the muck.
Mm-hmm.
And say what you think would be the worst possible change that you could theoretically see GW doing in 9th edition, and then the best possible change. And we'll end the show on that.
Switching all to round basis for fantasy. That would be the worst thing that they could do.
And
you got to pick something different, Michael.
Worst thing they can do.
Yeah. Well, now it's not just the can do, but it's the worst thing that you could feasibly see them do.
Make 9th.
Oh, got to get more specific than that, my friend.
Continue on their track of getting rid of armies that everyone loves.
I can see that.
They're basically saying they can get rid of the dwarves as an individual and an ogre as an individual. We love those armies.
Yeah. So, here is the worst thing I think they could actually do, and it's sort of following a progression. In the recent editions, they seem to be getting rid of more of the special magic from the different races. So I actually think the worst thing that they could do is change it so that the only magic that existed are the 8 winds of magic from the base book. If they just got rid of the various racial magics altogether.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a downer. I love wild magic.
Mm-hmm. So now, what do you think would be the best potential change that you could see them do?
I would say that if they would combine like a little bit of Mordheim and giving you the option of playing skirmishers every now and then, or just give you an option to do it and take it that way. I think that would be interesting. Incorporate some of the Mordheim stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, Michael?
I don't remember who talked about it originally, but they talked about one of the Games Workshop big tournaments, or I guess the last one they ever really have, and that they were doing like you picked allies that you teamed up with, and that's how factions were being run. If that's how their rumored factions worked in the game, where it's just, hey, it's a book of 4 armies, but they're separate armies, they're just allies, I would be okay with that. I'd like that.
Mm-hmm. For me, I think the best thing that they could do is make infantry good outside of hordes. I think in general right now, infantry is kind of in a weak place in the game. Unless you hoard it up and make just giant freaking stars of various shapes and sizes. I think if they could actually do something to infantry to make a 20-man block of infantry something more than a bunker for a character. I think that would be the best change for me. I want to see small blocks. I want to see maneuvers. I want to see... Yeah, that's what I want to see. So I guess Vince hit us with one last question, and so we'll answer his one last question, then we'll stop. If Ninth has somewhat smaller armies and more elite units, a la the Blight Kings, what would be an elite type unit you would want to see for each of your favorite armies?
Blight Kings are on 50 mils, right?
Yeah.
Something like them. I would pick golems for the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Like those mechanical, steam-powered golems. That'd be awesome.
What about you, Skip?
First thing that leaps in my head would be like Griffin Riders for Bretonnia, kind of like the Hippogriffs for the Empire.
You mean the Pegasus?
Pegasus. No, I mean just make it like a unit of Hippogriff that are similar to.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For me, it would be actually something from the new Grom book, the Piggy Riders.
Yeah.
Which, when I read that, I thought they were like Noblars on piggies. But no, what it is it's actually Noblars riding each other piggyback. And so, like, you have a Noblar on top with the spear, and then on the bottom, instead of a mount, you just have another Noblar, and so they use all the same stats. That's what I want. I want, like, little Noblars in Barding with little Noblars, or big Noblars in Barding and little Noblars riding on the back of them with spears. That would be my Blight Kings for the ogres. Screw the ogres. I don't need any better ogres. My ogres are good enough. I want Noblars.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, that book is so good.
It
So
is.
good. I see. In all honesty, yeah. If I had the patience to paint up a butt ton more Noblars, I would be playing that army right now. That would be my second army in the campaign. Just Noblars going apeshit on everything. But to be honest, I like to make the army viable. You need like 300 plus Noblars, and I don't have the energy to paint them right now. So I'm just looking at the comments here before we wrap things up. Another viewer, and I'm going to try and pronounce this, so please excuse me for butchering it because I know I'm going to. Are Kusanda Shuturumu says worst possible thing is if they combine fantasy and 40k stuff together, like the first or whatever edition in the past. I don't remember if they were ever combined together, but yeah, that would be pretty freaking terrible.
I don't think they were ever actually like combined as one game, but they were linked as 40k in fantasy, or let's say it was.
Well, I know
fantasy.
they used to be. Yeah, I remember fluff-wise, they used to be like they exist in the same, like the idea that 40K was like the far future of the fantasy world or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like don't bring your freaking plasma guns and chain swords and bullshit up in my fantasy. Let's keep that out. So, all right, we've been going for an hour and 10. That's good enough, close enough for government work, I think. So, wanted to thank everybody for watching. Again, hopefully we will do our end of the campaign and capstone show next week in honor of this going the way we want it to go. Other than that, did you guys have any last-minute comments you wanted to make?
Oh, I'm going to be representing the show next week on Warhammer Weekly. I am the special guest.
Oh, hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's got an opportunity to go and talk shit about behind our backs.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't done anything that bad.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a worthy show. Represent us well, or we'll torture you when you get back.
Pretty much.
But yeah, everybody go check that out next week. That's pretty cool. Other than that, I know he was trying to get Alicia on too, but it's very difficult because I'm not home yet by the time they air most of the time, so it's hard for her to get all the shit done with the kids and then do the show before I'm there. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys all for watching. As always, if you have comments, leave them below. If you liked what you saw, whatever, definitely let us know, and we'll keep going. And as always, if you have topics that you think would be good for episodes, definitely leave them in the comments. I can't help but think we're scraping the bottom of the barrel of our collective creativity, and by that I mean every Tuesday Skip sends me an email, so what's the topic for the show? And I have to go, I don't know. So any help on that regard would be awesome. Of course, I may very well just steal what Vince is doing, and whatever the topic for the week is something we're going to cover, just to be lazy and to give us story ideas. Any rate, so thanks everyone for watching again, and let's go ahead and close this one down. Bye, everybody.